Are you a coder who gets rejected based on no practical experience or because others have a strong LinkedIn personal brand and you don't? Your coaching institute will hate me for doing this, but I welcome you to Code to Career 30 days challenge where I have chosen these 5 total strangers out of my LinkedIn contacts and have taken up the challenge to help them go from jobless or underpaid to well paid job, that too without additional degrees and certifications in the next 30 days. If you are a coder and wants to get a well paid job, this is your golden chance to experience real project implementation from scratch that gets you a well paid job and builds your LinkedIn personal brand and also resume for absolutely free. So why just watch? Get into our WhatsApp community to experience this. Link is in the description. Now let's get started. Any questions? Any questions till now from the first session till now? Qazi, Leela, Saranjeevi.
Yeah, so I have one question. Let me share the picture. So it's regarding the UML diagram. When I was studying it, I found this example from Geeks for Geeks, and I just wanted to get a clear concept. I have shared in chat.
Yeah, you can go ahead and share.
Yeah. It's okay. It's shared. Can you see it?
No, I think you have sent.
I shared it on the chat.
Then wait, I need to now share the screen. I think I have to download and then do it. Let me download. Okay, it is downloading. Desktop, image, screen share. Yeah.
Yes. So my question was basically I understood the concepts of the relationships, the boundary, and the actors. The only thing that I wasn't sure about इसमें एंड में अगर आप देखें ना तो ये इसने पेपॉल को भी एज एन एक्टर बनाया हुआ है, आइडेंटिटी प्रोवाइडर, ऑथेंटिकेशन, जो राइट मोस्ट साइड पे कॉलम है. तो ये एक्टर्स हम किस चीज को किस तरीके से रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है? ये एक्टर को एज एन टोटली इंडिपेंडेंट सिस्टम कह रहा है यहाँ पे कि पेपॉल एक टोटली एक इंडिपेंडेंट सिस्टम है, तो उसको सबको एक्सट्रैक्ट करने के लिए लेट्स मेक इट एन एक्टर, या क्रेडिट पेमेंट सर्विस है, या और भी जो इसने 2 फीचर सेट दिए हैं, या ये कुछ और है जो अभी मैं अंडरस्टैंड नहीं कर पाया.
PayPal and credit service, credit payment service, identity provider, service authentication, and all those things. Okay. In UML, when you are thinking about these diagrams, there are certain diagrams which will showcase the static or a snapshot of time kind of scenario. And there are diagrams which will showcase how the events proceed over time. In this diagram, what you told, the fact is very much true. When I say PayPal is the actor, when you say PayPal, maybe the front end, when it is interacting with the system of online shopping, it will come into the picture when the particular use case is checking out. When it is a checkout, then it comes. Credit card payment and all those things. You need to understand in this way. If I understand your question and answered, the abstraction is true. At any point of time, depending on the use case, I may be at the receiving end or I might be at the sending end, depending on how the use case needs to be perceived. That representation of what that person or that entity or that software module has to do in this context when it is interacting with the system within the boundaries of the system, what all the legal operations or the legitimate operations that it can be done. I summarize it as one use case. Here, this seems to be a collection of multiple use cases put into one diagram. It represents the complete online shopping system. I can as well take that, for example, take this new customer and authentication. So for the new customer to view items, maybe he has to authenticate, he has to make use of the service called authentication, and then only he can view the items. That itself can be one use case where there is a clear flow of actions from new customer to items and then registering whatever it is. Register customer के लिए अलग items हो सकता है, like he can make the purchase. If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well-paid job, book a one-on-one call with me. Link is in the description. So this include, and all those things are called stereotypes. Because for example, when I have to make a purchase, I need to add that particular item in a cart and I need to check out. हालांकि मेरा ऊपर का यूज केस तो मेक परचेज ओनली, बट it uses a second use case or a sub use case called checking out. Now when you say, once I checked out the item, I can go for two kinds of payment, either a credit card payment or through PayPal. Until this particular use case of make purchase is not triggered, and it internally, if it is not triggering checkout, the PayPal object itself is not in existence. Now let us plot it in a timeline. Now when I say timeline, at time T1, the new customer opened the laptop, went to the portal, Amazon or whatever, scrolled through the items and decided that I want to, no, not the new customer, sorry, registered customer, saw the items and decided that I want to do a payment. Let us remove now for a brief moment making purchase, only viewing the item, which itself is a transaction. Now why? Because the moment he says view items, he will be shown certain items. Then if he clicks on one item, then maybe it has to open in a new web page or in the same web page. Then all the data about that particular item has to be shown in between, the number of comments on that product, the ratings of that product, so many things of that particular item I have to show, right? Which means I am giving an action, or I am triggering an action which will create certain kind of objects, something in the memory, and all those other transactions. Something will go and query a database and say that, okay, get me this image. Somewhere it will go to some other database and says, get me the ratings. Somewhere it will go and pick up all the comments. Many things, right? Which itself, the view items itself can be considered as one use case, where the registered customer is the actor. See, now these are different notations. That is why I did not get much into the UML proper, because then I have to say that this is a simple relation, then it is in some kind of inheritance, this, that, and all those things. But overall, the idea has to be very clear to you, and you need to be able to map it to our current requirement. That, okay, when I have to send certain file, then I will say that first I have a file, I am a user. Or it could be the location of the file can be an actor, and it will say that, hey TFTP, I have this file. That itself is one use case, sending the file. Getting the point? Or reading the file. That itself is another use case. So that inside that use case, different actors can have different roles. Because if let us say, if there is a file on the receiver side only, where it wants to upload, then that becomes an actor, right? Got the point? जब मुझे फाइल भेजना पड़ता है तो मैं एक्टर बन के मैं भेज सकता हूँ, पर उस तरह से अगर मैं देखूंगा तो वो एक्टर बन रहा है ना. But typically in use case diagram, we read from left to right, that actors, this, and then the receivers. Making sense? Clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So any other question? Because if the use cases are still in a sitting on the fence kind of things for people, then it will be tough to comprehend the other things. It will make sense, but you will find it a bit tough to really figure it out, like why it is like that. So I'm asking again, like if anyone has any questions, then we will resolve those queries and we will go forward.
और एक और बस पॉइंट था, क्वेश्चन नहीं था। मैंने लिनक्स में यूडीपी की एग्जांपल अभी हम की थी उबुंटू में, तो उसमें ये था कि जो कोड एग्जांपल्स हैंडआउट्स में शेयर्ड हैं उनके अंदर एक हेडर फाइल इंक्लूड मिसिंग है, तो वो डाल के वो चीज़ चली थी।
ओके।
वो
ओके।
जो फंक्शन क्लोज है ना, बेसिकली जो फाइल क्लोज कर रहा है, सॉकेट क्लोज कर रहा
हाँ.
है, वो उसके लिए एरर शो कर रहा था।
So what was the file that you added?
I have
Typically,
noted it down.
socket.h might be having these all the things.
unistd.h.
Okay. See, typically these all might be the file closing stuff or okay, I will check
Yeah.
that. I will check. I have the C library repository. I have cloned it. I will see what is the issue with the close call that it is not able to, because few other people they were able to execute.
No, sir, no, sir. I too got the same thing. So I used the hash include uni_sp.h, then it was clear.
Oh, okay. I will check it. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. So let's go to the presentation now. So today's presentation is built on top of the previous thing, but it also introduced now another concept, which is called class responsibility collaboration. This is a very powerful concept, very frequently used, like very frequently means few people use, but if you follow the real process where you want to get a very good piece of code with all the things satisfied, a proper class and all those things, these are all powerful techniques. I don't know why it is not. Yeah. So in our thing, which means in our case, the actors are, as I told, client and server, depending on who starts. For example, clients initiate file transfer. In that case, the server responds to the file transfer request. Client is saying that, okay, I want this file. Then the server says that, okay, I have this file and I am giving it. This is one instance. There could be a place wherein the client says that I have certain file to be stored onto that server. Then it could be another use case. But typically in this particular scenario, which is our case, which is the TFTP implementation, there are only two actors, server on one side, client on other side. So the typical use cases could be request file, which is client sends a request to the server sends the request, send file, client send a write request to the server, and then client sends the file data in data packets. Making sense? Here we are only talking about, let me close this. Yeah, here we are only talking about the client initiating the stuff. That client is requesting that I want to read something, or the client is saying that I have something to write. Sequence diagram for the request file. So imagine now in a timeline. So I would be also now showing you, which is some Google diagram of sequence diagram, so that you can relate it when I am talking about something called a sequence diagram. Now a sequence diagram is true to its sense as per the name, that it is sequence of operations that takes place over a timeline. If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well-paid job, book a one-on-one call with me. Link is in the description. Okay, yeah. Visible? Okay. So look at this sequence diagram. Where whatever you are seeing the actors in use case diagrams, they become the vertical lines with a box. So your client and server would be these kind of boxes with a vertical line. Now this vertical line is called the timeline. Matlab, when you take something like an object-oriented programming concept, where you have something called as classes and object, or in the C world, let us take the similar kind of construct like to a class called as structure. Now, when I declare a structure, I will say these are the parameters. These are the members of the structure. And along with the structure, I can write certain operations or functions which will manipulate or process the elements of the structure. Making sense till now? I want a response so that I know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Like how you think that when there is a declaration for the structure and I say that my struct A comma B, I am creating an instance of the structure, right? So here, Alice can be a structure, but the moment I create a member, not a member, sorry, I instantiate a structure, it becomes an object or an instance of a structure, which has, like you say, the very common example when you look at C textbooks like employee, a structure called employee, struct employee, this name, ID card, date of joining, whatever. The moment I say my employee E1 and E2, I will say E1 dot name is equal to so and so. Remember this kind of small code pieces? I'm instantiating a structure. Now the issue that comes is when these employees are put in a timeline, when they have to interact with, let us say, payroll department or HR department or within the project to satisfy certain requirement, there should be a sequence of operation that happens. Like for example, Alice is saying that the sequence of operation is click and drag to create a request or type it in the source area to left. Okay, this is some tool where it is saying that, but the point I'm saying is from time T1 to T2 to T3 to T4, I will have different actors vertically placed, and the sequence of operations or the interactions between them I represent as arrows going from one object to another object. Now, if we come to this diagram, if we think that there is server here, there is client here, then the client sends a read request to the server. But in this way, if we have to put client here and we have to put server here, the server client will say send read request to server. Then the server processes read request and sends a data packet. Then client sends an acknowledgement packet. So if you see in a timeline, both the objects are here. There is communication going on. There is response coming in. Again, communication going on, response or acknowledgement going on. Till the client sends the final acknowledgement saying that I am done with receiving all the packets of the file. After which the connection gets teared down and both the objects can be removed from the memory also. And whenever again another transaction starts, you can create the objects again. But the point here is it again depends. For example, let us say if it is an authentication or as I told, a server will be listening over a socket, and when there is a connection, then the server will fork another server and then that will take up this connection. So the listening, जहां पे जिस पोर्ट के ऊपर the server is listening, that parent server will be always alive. You are getting the point? For example, if you have your laptop where you see the UI components, you have the UI components like windows, widgets, buttons, and all those things. So your graphical ka jo piche ka jo graphical package and that windowing system, it is always running, and it is always running. That object is always there in the memory. It is looking at operations like did the user put anything Did the user press enter key? Did the user do any mouse operation? Did he touch anything on the touchpad? Are you getting the point? An object can be there permanently in the memory, or per transaction some objects will be created, and then they will be destroyed. Now when I say some objects can be created, some structures can be instantiated and some structures can be deleted. Like for example, in TFTP transaction, when I have to create a TFTP packet for acknowledgement packet, what will I do? I will put every acknowledgement packet as a structure, and I will say struct acknowledgement packet ACK1. Then I will put all the parameters into that packet and I will send it outside. Now, once that particular packet has been sent outside, I will free the local memory here. This is where all this malloc and free everything comes. Now to relate this kind of operation with the basic operation of C language, C as a language is enabling you to tell what you want to do, and C as a language has a library which has the dynamic memory allocation, where you use those APIs. At that point of time, you took some memory, you put all the things into that container, you send it outside. Once the information is outside, whatever is the local memory here, you are freeing it out. Making sense? And I'm trying to tell you this from the C language perspective is to only ensure or assure the fact that at the end of the day, when all these transactions and all those things are happening, C as a language is only enabling you to speak your intention clearly with the computing system. Because at the end of the day, the computing system doesn't really care what language you have written the code and all those things. Maybe to some level, the microcontroller will say that, okay, I want it to be in my assembly language. But beyond that, it does not matter. It's all about you have certain information that you want to send to outside world, or you have a requirement to bring the outside information to you and start processing and give some valuable output or result to the user. Making sense?
Vamsi, I have a doubt actually. So the doubt is like you said parent will be constant. Like we can't do anything with the parent, only object. We can just free the objects actually. So Vamsi, for example, okay. So employee. So you said employee E1, E2, right? So E1, E2 after the transaction gets over. So now E1 is doing some transaction and E2 is doing some transaction as an object, I'm saying. So after these two transactions are done, it will be freed up. What you're saying is like the employee will be always there. That's what you're saying, like the parent thing.
No, I'm not saying that. In this particular scenario of TFTP, the parent server you create is always existing to listen on the port number 69 or 49, I think 49 or 69 for TFTP. Because at any point of time, a client can trigger a request that I want a file or I want to read or write a file. So somebody has to be listening over that port, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I take an example. You want to you got into a place where you purchased the ticket for a show, and you want to get into that. Now you are like the client. Either you go or you don't go at a designated time, the picture will be anyways run. Now, how do you enter through that port? I mean, how do you enter into the theater? Through a door where there will be somebody who collects the ticket, right? Simple.
Yeah.
So the server, the screen or the other thing where it has to run, it will be always there. A little bit variation here is, imagine that you have a parent screen which is always looking at the door and saying that, okay, is anyone coming to watch me? The moment I know that somebody is coming to watch me, I create another screen. So whoever client is coming, boss, you go and watch in this screen. Second one came, you go and watch in this screen. But I am always there looking at the door. Getting the point?
Yes, something.
Let me give one more simple example. I have a big bowl of food items. I have a big bowl of food items. You purchase the token at the counter and you came to me. I will not hand over the big bowl to you, right? I will take a plate, put the item into that. If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well-paid job. Book a one-on-one call with me. Link is in the description. And then give you. Now,
Yeah.
once you consume that thing, let us say it is a paper plate or something. You destroy the paper plate and throw it in a dustbin and go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing different. So, I mean, the things that we do in software is nothing but what we do see in everyday life.
Okay.
For me,
Vamsi, no, Vamsi, like just a one last doubt. So the thing is like, okay, so when we do, like, for example, I will make this as an ATM transaction, actually basic ATM transaction. Like so I'm the client, I'm just requesting the system to give money for me. So that's a server actually. So the transaction is going on, I'm just getting some money, and then it's going and requesting, and then everything is going. So after my transaction get over, I go like it's get freed up actually. Okay, right? Like it's
what
getting
gets freed
freed
up?
up after my transaction.
See, after your transaction, the ATM would have made a record in your account saying that he has deposited so much of money or he has withdrawn so much of money, and there is a record in the database. It is there. Now,
Yeah.
whatever is the connection that is established to do the transfer. See,
Okay.
once the information is there in the database that you have drawn so much of money, it is there in the database. I don't have to keep that connection always alive, right? Because you have withdrawn your ATM card and you checked out and you went away. Now the ATM machine will see that, oh, okay, Chiranjeevi has left. So I don't have to maintain that connection request. It will tear down the connection. Now, what do you mean by tearing down the connection? The details it has read from your ATM card, everything it will remove from the memory.
Okay. Okay. Got it, Vamsi. This is what I was expecting actually, this answer. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So let us go to the next part. So these kind of operations that happen in sequence, because you brought that ATM example only, the user comes, which is the actor. So I will have a user box and a timeline. So in sequence diagram, you will have something called as timeline. The timeline tells that till what time is the object existing. Your lifetime or your lifeline of interaction with the ATM starts from the time you insert your ATM card and punch in the pin till you pull out your ATM card. After that time, neither the ATM nor you as a object for my software to work is not existing. All the details of customer by name Chiranjeevi with this ATM card number, this is the matching pin, this much is the account details. All those details are only valid to the ATM machine or the software behind it as long as your ATM card is inside the machine. The moment you eject it out, you are not there for me. You as a customer or an actor is not there for me. The memory I allocated, the structure I allocated, or the object I allocated to you, I will remove. Making sense now? This is what is the timeline. So what is happening is, in these timelines, when the objects are there and the timelines are there, whatever are the transactions are happening, I go here, then some response comes, again I talk, and all those things. So there is another third system, 3 objects. So I send to this sends to this will give a response, that will give a response here. All those things, when you put it in a diagram, those sequence of operations is nothing but the sequence diagram. Any questions here? Because the next step is more important, because we are going to get deeper into the kind of things, in the sense, not deeper into the kind of things in the sense how actually these actors come into existence. So sequence diagram for sending file and requesting file and sending file. This is the stuff here. Yeah. Now to come to a level wherein saying that how do I create, or how will I get an understanding to say that, or to think that I have to create an object called TFTP. How is that I should get an idea that there is something called as client module? How is that I should get an idea that I should create a server structure or server class? There should be certain logical explanation for me and a programmatically repeatable pattern for me to understand that, okay, if this is the problem, I need to have this structure, I need to have this array, I need to have this another structure, I need to have this class. How do you get those ideas? To facilitate this thing, when I think in around 1980s or 1985 some time frame, this particular methodology called as class responsibility collaboration technique has come. So I will give you I will draw a very simple diagram to actually help you understand that. Let me take. Okay. Let me know once you are able to see my screen. Yeah, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. This is too bad. I'm used to only Paint, and this is Paint 3D. Okay. I don't know what it is doing. Okay. Anybody who is proficient with Paint 3D? My other thing has gone for a toss. Yeah, okay, it is coming. So you should excuse me my writing. I am a left-handed desperately trying to draw with the right hand. Okay. So this is what is called class responsibility collaboration. It is nothing but one postcard size of card where you will say this is the class and these are the responsibilities. You split it here and you say these are the collaborations. Now, what does it mean? Let us take the server module. Let us take the server module. I want to create struct server. Clear? To create, to start the communication, I need to have struct server. This is an object-oriented construct. That's why you hear the word called as class. Wherever I say class, replace it mentally in your mind with structure. So now what I'm saying, okay, this, when I say server, a server should have an IP address. Okay, int 32 IP address. The server should have a port number, int 16 or 32 port number. The server should have this, that, and all those things. Like how I said, an employee can have a name, user ID, employee number, all those things. This is all the structure. Now see, when I have this, when I have something called as responsibility, now what should this server do? Or what should this employee do? Let us take a simple example of, continue with the example of employee only. Employee name and all those things are the attributes of the employee. Now, what are the responsibilities of employee? Punch in at 9 p.m. Solve this problem. Go to lunch. Attend this meeting. Whatever. There are certain responsibilities which are nothing but the member functions of a class, which are nothing but the functions that using these members of the structure, I can actually invoke. Matlab, ye functions will directly operate, or these are the responsibility of that structure. For example, if it is a server, then inside the server, I will also have function calls like establish connection, send data, receive acknowledgement. जो भी responsibilities में connection में server के बारे में बोल रहा हूँ, everything as a function I will write here. Now let us say I as a server do not have inbuilt inside me a capability to encrypt my data. I want to send my data outside. Yes, client has requested, मेरे पास file है, I have the file and I want to send it outside. But there is a requirement saying that there has to be what? Encryption to this data which is sent outside. But as a server, I did not create anything. Inside me, I don't have capability. So I collaborate with the encryption module. I collaborate with the driver module. I collaborate with the UDP module in our TFTP case. Making sense now? This is nothing but my structure, which is the members of the structure. These are the valid operations that happen, and these are the operations that I don't have with me, but I need to collaborate with something to get it done. Any questions? I would like to stop here and ask if there are any questions, because this is super important. It will help you now to understand, like, oh, okay, this is why this file is like this. Because Monday, I mean, I already gave you the RFC document. So Monday we will be starting with our first code piece. Then you should not get into like this stage, like, okay, code anyways, I will explain and all those aspects are there. But the fundamentals of, अच्छा ये structure इसलिए है, ये structure इसलिए create किया गया, this structure has these members. And this process, when you apply in your real life also for the project that you want to create, you will really understand, like, okay, I need to create a structure. This structure should have these members. We are trying to get away from that aspect of looking at the code instead of getting frightened or saying that, okay, this code is so huge. You will now get into the code and really understand that, okay, this actually makes sense that I need to have a variable here. I need to have a static variable inside this structure or inside this function. These all things will make sense now. Any questions? Please ask, so that before I proceed further, it will be more clear to you.
Yes,
Vamsi, yeah, you can go on.
पूछ लें Siranji.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I was asking, sir, so let's say from C point of view, you're saying that member functions will be nothing but our regular outside functions like getters and setters, right?
Yes. Right.
Okay,
Not just getters and setters. In the object-oriented world, you have all these getters, setters, and overriding and all those things. But yes, apart from the manipulators of the data inside a structure, any other functionality that you feel is a responsibility of this particular structure comes under this responsibility section.
Okay.
Any functionality that the data in this function, see the data, for example, I told you this example, right? The server has the responsibility to send the data to client. Agreed. The responsibility of sending the data to client is nothing but server's responsibility. There is no doubt about it, right? But still, I don't have capability to encrypt that data. So what should I do? Do I have to change my structure, my server code? May not be possible, right? Rather, I will say that, hey, encryption module, this is the buffer which has the data. Please encrypt it and give me back. These are the collaborations. So getters and setters are one part of the responsibilities.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Yeah. Yeah, I think Siranjeevi and Kazi, you need to toss a coin and see who will go first.
Vamsi, so yeah, I'll come first. So the CRC, the thing which you explained right now, there is little bit doubt. It's possible to explain with some example, Vamsi? It will be
all through this time I have been taking examples only. Which is the part
no,
where,
this
which is
member,
the part where you are not clear, you tell me.
So, like you said, like member functions are there, and then the R is the task which you need to do, actually, like addition, subtraction, for example, like thing, and then the another C is the
Okay, let me give an example. Okay, I'll give an example. Very simple example. We have been through this example. The head of the family, let us take head of the family, parents, father, right? Let us think of that person as a struct father. Age is there, height is there, color is there, everything is there, which represents maybe the photo also, everything is there. So let us assume our parents, our father as one struct. Now, this person has responsibilities. What are the responsibilities? Take care of children, earn money, this, that, and all those things are responsibilities, which I can't delegate to anyone. Now, there is one more responsibility saying that pay tuition fee. Put the child in the school and pay the tuition fee. But to make the child educated, knowledgeable, the person as a responsibility might be depositing the money with the institute. But the gentleman has to collaborate with the school and teacher to solve the problem. Making sense? So he's a class, he's an object. He has its own responsibilities, correct. But he has to collaborate to solve the complete problem of making that child knowledgeable. पे तो कर रहा है पर पढ़ाएगा कौन? He has to collaborate with the teachers, right? Saying that, boss, I am paying money, your responsibility. Anyways, I will come to parent teacher meeting. All the stuff will be there. Making sense now? Chiranjeevi, making sense now?
Yes, Vamsi. Right
Yeah.
now.
And I'm repeating again. I don't know how many times I repeat. I never get bored. And people who listen to this, when they don't get bored, that's when the life starts changing. And what is that? You need to sit and write that big essay for your project. Requirements ko leke, you should think and write whatever comes to your mind. Whether that will be implemented in the code, whether it is valid, it's all secondary. But are you able to explain yourself what you are trying to solve? That's when you start putting these words, whatever is the essay that you have written, right? In the essay somewhere you will say that, okay, server has to send this file to client, server has to respond for all the errors, server should access or receive the acknowledgement. What is that I am saying now? It is just that whatever is there, boss, that you have written in your essay, I am now categorizing and collecting at one place and saying that this is server object or this is server structure. These are its responsibilities. And I am not saying it. You in your essay would have already told that. I am saying, let us now structure it, that these are its responsibilities. Okay, server can't do some things. Okay, these are its collaborations. Now what is happening is, as your structure keeps on evolving, when you start adopting these use case diagrams, when you start adopting these sequence diagrams, when things are coming together and you are coming with this class responsibility, collaboration structures and all those things, you will see some gaps in your essay also, which you will go and fill. That will again flow back to your diagrams, which will again impact to your CRC cards. It becomes a loop now. So that when you say that, okay, now I am fully convinced that if all these things are in place, मतलब जो दिख रहा है मुझे इससे मेरा problem solve होने वाला है, then you go to that, whatever I told, that pseudo code method, right? Then you go to your test driven development, then you go and write the code. Making sense now, this process? This is a foolproof process and I bet my life on it. You follow this process, it doesn't matter. From small requirements to very big requirements, you can knock it off. Yes, the devil is always in the details. It's only the complexity of the information that you have to comprehend and break it into much more finer details. But when the pieces are small enough for you to consume in one lot, adopt this strategy, I am pretty much sure your small piece of code that you write will work like a charm. How many of you agree to this? Type me in the chat box. If you got this, what I am trying to say, and you agree that, yes, now I understand, Vamsi, actually what it takes. From essay and all those things, pseudocode, before that you are also saying, put them into diagrams. I will see all the gaps here. Then I go to the pseudocode. I will not jump into the code. I will go to TDD, start writing test cases, then write the incremental code. अभी आप मुझे बताइए, यहाँ पे मिस होने वाला चीज क्या है? The only thing that will miss now here is your improper understanding. If you want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well-paid job, book a one-on-one call with me. Link is in the description. Understanding of the requirement. That's it. Maybe you have not asked enough questions to get complete information. But once you have the complete information, there is no way that you can miss anything. बचा हुआ चीज क्या है? Logical errors, which is obvious. The more lines of code, the more are the errors. It's a direct proportion equation. And that's where the taming of complexity comes. But now you see, everything is now under your control. The diagrams are speaking the same thing. The test cases are speaking the same thing. The code is speaking the same thing. Okay, any other questions?
I had a question, थोड़ा specific है और मैं पूछना चाह रहा था कि जो बफर हम लोग सर्वर के लिए कम्युनिकेशन के लिए यूज कर रहे होंगे वो बफर एक्चुअली किस पार्ट में आएगा, क्योंकि वो स्ट्रक्चर का पार्ट नहीं है या क्योंकि उसको यूजली मैंने जितना अभी तक डिजाइन पैटर्न का थोड़ा बहुत पढ़ा है तो उसमें हम यूजली सिंगलटन बना देते हैं सी में कि ये बफर है, इसको हम मेमोरी अगर कंस्ट्रेंट हो तो हम इसी बफर को हर जगह यूज कर लेते हैं। तो इस पूरे सिनारियो में क्योंकि वो एज अ पूरा मॉड्यूल भी नहीं है तो कोलैबोरेशन में भी मैं उसको कंसीडर नहीं करूंगा, लेकिन वो चूंकि स्ट्रक्ट का पार्ट भी नहीं है क्योंकि सर्वर ऑल्दो सर्वर की हम लोगों ने मल्टीपल क्लासेस नहीं बनाएंगे लेकिन फिर भी हम इसको इसका पार्ट भी नहीं रखेंगे, तो ये कहाँ पे आएगा?
Yeah, very valid doubt. Very simple answer. Your struct server is there. When you say struct server, either you will say struct server star my struct malloc, something you will do dynamic memory allocation, or you will create a static one. Now inside that structure, you will have a void pointer buffer. जहां पे आप पूरा पैकेट को रखोगे. Maybe you are not deleting the complete structure. You have a pointer inside that structure which points to the memory location which holds the complete packet.
Okay.
Now your packet is consumed, you free that buffer. So structure तो वैसा ही वैसा है.
बिल्कुल ठीक.
Because you are because father has to go to school every year and fill the tuition fee, right? अच्छा LKG में कर दिया मतलब 10th तक चलेगा ऐसा नहीं है. Yeah. Yeah. See, and all those other things that you are saying, singleton, factory, and all those things, they as the word itself goes, it's a pattern. It's a well-defined way of solving the problems because somebody has identified that these kind of problems typically have these kind of solutions. How you realize that with what data structure and what algorithm, those are all entirely different things. Yeah. Okay. So let us go to the next. Okay, this is the one class responsibility collaboration cards. And by the way, I believe all these things are part of the workbook that I have already given, right? It's there in that workbook. Just go through that workbook. Now you see, now it is bringing now the test-driven development again here. That write the test. Start by writing a test for small piece of functionality, run the test, which is what I told. I have repeated here again to ensure that it is not out of the scope. आप इतना काम करके after all this theory, when you have come to certain conclusion, your path should automatically lead to TDD only, and from there to code. Do not fall into this assumption that because I am doing so much of analysis that the next step would be to write the code. No, that's where to reinforce the fact that test-driven development is always there. I have added this here: read request, write request, data transfer, and all those things. Now a bit about TFTP protocol. I sincerely urge you all people to go ahead and read that RFC. I think Swaminathan, you have read, I think. You have already read a little bit. So people who have not read, go ahead and read the stuff. Read the protocol. And if you feel that, okay, I have to read those so many lines, use ChatGPT to and attach it and say that please summarize this PDF. There are a lot of videos also. I have just taken one sequence diagram for write request. The reason is because read request, data, acknowledgement and error. You need to create the use cases and sequence diagrams for that. There is an open source software in Windows called Star UML. Very easy to use. It has good tutorials also. You will find it on YouTube, Star UML. Install it. From end to end, you can create a lot of diagrams. Star UML. Easy to install and use. I gave as an example one sequence diagram because this is write request is something which we have discussed as a use case diagram also. Host sends a request. Now host A sends write request to host B with source A's TID and destination, which is port number 69. Then host B sends an acknowledgement with block number 0 to host A with source B's TID and destination A's TID. Host A sends the first packet with block number 1, and this steps gets recorded because the acknowledgement comes, and finally host B sends the final acknowledgement. Now imagine the same thing that I am doing. Host A, host B, they have their timelines till the transfer happens. One arrow goes, another arrow comes, another arrow goes, another arrow comes. Now this is a CRC example for write request. Now the client module. Now let me share that diagram now. See the client module. This is the client module. These are its responsibilities and these are its collaboration. So in this particular thing, what is that we are looking at? Its responsibilities are initiate the write request, send data packets, handle acknowledgement. Collaborators are server module and network module. Server module, if you come, its responsibilities are receive the write request, send the acknowledgements, and receive the data packets. Remember, it is a write request, which means client has something to write to the server. That's why you see send data packets. And server will send an acknowledgement, it has to handle acknowledgement. But how can client send? For the client to send, there has to be a server and there should be also a network available so that the client sends to the server and vice versa. For server module, there should be a client and there should be also a network module. Summary, understanding the flow of software development from use cases to CRC cards and sequence diagram ensures robust implementation. Yes. Any questions? And I'm giving you a heads up now itself. From now, from now, the major portion of the theory will be slowly taping down, and the amount of implementation that you need to either if you want to implement or understanding the code will slowly now start to grow. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Go ahead.
So before these slides, 2-3 slides, you said that generally we'll do some mistakes, and so we might end up in a cyclic process of correction.
We do some mistakes and we end up in cycling process of correction. Okay. Yeah.
While writing use cases, you might drop something or miss something, and then also so I'm asking, what kind of 1 or 2 mistakes, and what will the course correction mechanism? What will the procedure of course correction?
Yeah. I did not say with respect to test-driven development. What I said was, when you start your journey from your essay that you have created, you would have created an essay with respect to the requirements, right? You would have written the proper essay. Getting the point?
Yes.
Now, what is the basis for your essay? Requirements only?
Yes.
If you have an understanding gap in the requirements, imagine for a moment you understood or you misinterpreted some requirement. It will have a direct impact on the way you write the essay? Somewhere, there will be a mismatch. Yes.
Yes.
That will trickle down to your use cases, your sequence diagram, and some of the responsibility of the some server code or receiver code or the network module. Somewhere in the CRC cards, when you are trying to come up with, there will be a gap also, because the gap has already formed with your misunderstanding of requirement. It will percolate till the thing. Now, what happens most of the times when you are want to work with me personally, where I guarantee to work with you until you secure a well-paid job, book a one-on-one call with me. Link is in the description. Doing this CRC card technique, there is one powerful technique that people used, and I actually used it with my German collaborator when I was in Germany, and that is doing the role plays. Like, for example, literally, I used to be, that time we were working on some Bluetooth firmware update with you over USB protocol. So he used to be the Bluetooth module and I used to be the navigation system, car navigation system. So I used to, or the Bluetooth module and navigation system. So I used to literally say that, hey, I want this. Do you have that service? Okay, he says that. So we actually do a role play, which is nothing but exchange of dialogues. Getting the point? Now, when these exchange of dialogues are happening, somewhere we see that I see, because my dialogues are all written, I write my dialogues based on my understanding of requirements. And he would have written understanding of, as per his understanding of requirements, he would have written his client dialogues. Now, when we are speaking the dialogues, I say something, the response is something that if it comes as per my expectation, then I am okay. I will go to the next step, which is the next dialogue, right? Now, let us say if his response is not appropriate, then I'm in a stage wherein I'm now asking like, no, I did not expect this response. I expected that response. Are you with me now?
So what you're saying is that you have something to contribute and you also missed something. Each person contributed and missed something. So the overlap will tell you what are the things that are essential, more needed.
Somewhere there is a gap, because if I'm asking one, if I'm saying one dialogue, the response has to be something. Like, for example, I come to you and I say, hey, Harsha, did you have your dinner? Then you say, the sun always rises in the east. Then I will say, what happened to this person? I asked you, like, did you eat the food? And you say, the sun always rises in the east. Then I will say, something is wrong. Then we both go and look at the requirements again. And we see that, no, man, we understood this thing like this. It is supposed to be like this. This is where the iterative process I told. It is not when you come to TDD. Before TDD only. Even before your pseudocode. Because these diagrams are all coming, sequence diagrams and all are coming even before that, right? And yeah, one more thing I forgot to mention. In the sequence diagrams, when you are saying that host A is talking with host B and you are showing that arrow actually is a function call. You literally write your function call with the parameters on top of that arrow. But yeah, it is not the final function call, but you are saying that this function call somewhat looks like this. I want to name it like this. I want to have these parameters in this function. Harsha, got the point?
So that would again depend on us, right? So us going through and checking whether we missed something or not. Or yes.
Yeah.
We are doing the role play.
The ultimate thing is, let us be very practical with this thing. The ultimate thing is your code only. These UML diagrams and all those things, you go to your manager after deadline, he will kick you. He will say, boss, first write me the code. Then you beautify it and do all the things. First you write the code. So this analysis will ensure that when you write the code and along with the test cases, you make it from red to green and then also refactor, you are almost at a stage wherein there will be less bugs, good quality of the code, as per the requirements, no leakage, no technical debt. You're getting the point?
Yes.
Why are we doing all these things? Finally, to get the code only. But we want to write the code which is proper and up to the requirement without any additional load on it, no missing of edge cases. And definitely during this class responsibility collaboration diagram creation, you can talk about the edge cases also. Let us say, I will say, let us say it's a write request where the client is saying to the server that I have this file with me. Please, I want to write it in you. Server is saying, okay, send me. Then I send a packet to server which is beyond the packet size. Corner case.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
how will I catch it? I have to catch it, right? Now, let us say I read the requirement, but somewhere it slipped out of my mind that this has to be an array of 150 bytes. Somewhere it slipped. And it did not factor in my use case diagram, because use case diagram anyways will not talk about it. But the moment I'm doing class responsibility collaboration and I'm saying that, okay, I'm sending the data, then the server will say, how much data? Then it will strike to me, array, he's asking how much. I never even thought about how much. Then I will go and I will read the requirements. There in the requirements, it will be very clearly mentioned that the maximum number of payload, size of the payload can't cross 150 bytes. Making sense now?
Yes.
Yeah, this is all KTJ. You have to KTJ, then only you will understand. Otherwise, I'm being very candid with you. When I am explaining and I'm doing all these things, you will say that, wow, man, I'm understanding this. It is nice. Yeah, this is how it is. Tomorrow, you will get up and you will say that, yeah, something is clear. I understand this. Day after tomorrow, thoda idhar udhar ho raha hai. After 3 days, God has given us the best RAM in the world. Volatility is super 100 to 100%. If you don't push it into ROM with repetition, you will lose it. And you will say in interview, hey, somewhere I read, where is that? Where is it? I read it somewhere. I saw it somewhere. Then you will come and you will bite your finger outside the interview room. And I'm not saying something unusual, right? I've experienced it so many times in my exams. Oh, fill in the blank कौन सा था? का रखना है, की रखना है, कू रखना है. Half mark gone, 1 mark gone. Competitive exam, 100 ranks gone. Any questions? I'll be pushing you from tomorrow. Yeah. See, along with this heavy lifting that you are seeing with respect to this learning and all those things, you need to be there on LinkedIn also. See, don't let this time that you are investing in your learning just go like that. Let the world know that you are doing something with your learning process. When you see a hard-working person, imagine Yash is going on a road and he sees a small child trying to lift a heavy load. Yash, आप क्या करोगे? Help करोगे? He's trying to put that heavy load on his head. What do you do? Yeah. If you do the same thing, if you are a person who will do the same thing, when other people see that you are trying to learn something and all those things, they will come and appreciate. Your followers will come. In that, there will be even HR people. And I'll tell you, before we conclude, if I take anything more of your Friday evening, the most precious time, which starts from Friday and which dies at the night of Sunday, most of the things, especially in interviews and all those things, runs through perception only. What I mean to say is, your recruiters, your hiring managers, they all are humans. They are also biased. They have their speculations, they have their myths and all those things. जो दिखता है वही बिकता है, जो बिकता है वो और भी ज्यादा बिकता है. Now when they come to your profile and you talk about all these things, they have no other option than to have a very good perception about you, because they haven't seen other people talking the same thing, right? Then they feel, because of repetition and you are constantly coming in front of their eyes, they definitely fall into a category where they are first unaware of you. Now they become aware of you, and when there are opportunities, they will come to you. Making sense? That's why your staying on LinkedIn is very important, because you have to change that perception. See, once you become a famous person where you do something and newspapers will put you on page 3 and all those things, till that time you have to talk about yourself.
Sir,
Yeah.
one doubt.
Yes,
Can
go
you
ahead.
plan for a session for GitHub or this such? I mean, a brief session, not in depth.
GitHub, actually, I'm trying actually somebody who is an expert on GitHub, and actually I learned some basics from her. I have to get her time. She did not respond. This yeah, by the way, tomorrow we are meeting at 9 p.m. People who are interested and to really want to see how Harini actually traveled her journey from being somebody in TCS where she was working on non-embedded stuff and all those things, to a place where she is working in AMD through Mirafra and working on AMD FPGAs or something and committing code on Linux. Yeah. So I will share the meeting link in the main group only, and also here. GitHub, yeah, I remember. I will again get in touch with her. If not she, I have few more names in my mind, so that they can whether they can come or not. Yeah. Yeah, please put it in the group also.
अब में कोई इस तरह की चीज तो वैसे नहीं है कि जो बहुत ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हो. कुछ बेसिक ऑपरेशंस होते हैं, मैं भी बता सकता हूँ उस हवाले से. अगर कोई इशू है आपको तो हम छोटा सा सेशन हम लोग इंटरनली रख सकते हैं. There are just 4 to 5 operations that we usually do, and उसमें मसला नहीं होता.
Yeah, push, pull, commit, and all those kind of things, basic operations, we can do it. But I'm planning for something where it involves bit of Git and GitHub, and how to use GitHub as your landing page. Okay, let me share the screen and let me show you. Then I think it will make a lot of impact what I'm saying. Give me a moment. I have to. Yeah. This will be really mind blown. I owe a lot to her. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. So can you see her GitHub profile? It's almost like a landing page, right? Her highlights. There is an introduction about her. Lot of achievements, 702 followers, 404 point. Okay. And you come here, her highlights. How could I add my value? Keen to interact with me. Technical skills. Contribution space. Hacktoberfest badges. Visitors count. Open source project. GitHub statistics. So many contributions. Trophies. Connect with me with lot or her social media handles. Testimonials. Are you getting what I am trying to say? This is almost like a company brand page, right? If somebody comes to her profile, they really want people like her to be part of their team and company, more or less like a landing page. So I'm trying to ask her if she can give time, but she's quite busy. I'll go for once again and I will try to ask. Yeah. So that she can really explain how you can take the full power of GitHub. So any more questions? Else we can conclude the call. So one round robin we will do. Before that, gallery mode. Yes, please be on camera. Yash, Anand, Leela Prasad, Chandrika, Snehal, Abhishek, Ajay, Nikhil. Abhishek, for 1 minute, you can, for 5 seconds, if it possible, please be on camera. If you are eating, wipe off your mouth. Okay. Chandrika, Venkata, Ajay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much and see you on Monday. From Monday, Monday it will be a little bit of, I will talk about RFC only, and from Tuesday, from the next class, we can go ahead with this code. Yeah. So Snehal, fine with you?
Yes, sir. Now I am fine with it.
Yeah. So don't give up. Take it
Yes.
slowly only.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.